So good morning everyone, my name is Mark Lorenzo Fernandez and I'm your facilitator for today's video. so um, our topic for today is Logicsm of Bertrand Russell, Gottlob Frege and North Whitehead. So let's start with Bertrand Russell. So Bertrand Russell is a logician and philosopher and a social reformer. Activist siya ng mga era na yun dahil na syempre 'di ba isa nga siyang philosopher. So emphasis logicism na may conclusion siya na um, kasi may war nung time na yun eh. So, ang tingin niya sa war is immoral. So, kaya siya naging activist. So, simple background lang. And founding figure siya ng analytic movement ng Anglo-American philosophy and recipient siya sa Nobel Prize noong 1950 para sa literature. So, Russell's contribution do sa logic, epistemology, and the philosophy of mathematics is na-establish siya. Nagawa siyang i-establish as one of the foremost philosophers ng 20th century. So, pag-usapan natin yung childhood niya. So, yung childhood ni Russell is sobrang grief-stricken and sobrang sad. Sobrang lonely, bagsak na bagsak. Kasi yung mother niya, tsaka yung ate niya is namatay nung 2 years old pa lang siya. And after 18 months, namatay naman yung tatay niya. So, natira na lang is siya at yung kapatid niyang si Frank na inampon ng parental grandparents niya, which is the father's side, na later on, after niyang after niyang mag-birthday, ng 6th birthday niya, is namatay naman yung lolo niya. So, naglalaga na lang sa kanila is yung lola niya, and yun, yung childhood niya is sobrang lonely din dahil homeschooling siya. So, education naman niya is yun nga, during the childhood of Bertrand Russell, na educated siya at home. In 1890, pumasok siya sa Trinity College doon sa Cambridge, where he studied the mathematics and philosophy, graduating with first class honors sa magkasunod na 1893 and 1894. And after that year, nanalo naman siya ng winning fellowship noong 1895. So, they briefly attended lectures in economics then at University of Berlin. Ayan. So, ilan sa mga works ni Russell Bertrand is yung mga philosophical works niya included dun sa The Principles of Mathematics and Principia Mathematica. So, titingnan natin kung pares ba sila or magkaiba. Kasi, diba, Principles of Mathematics and Principia Mathematica. And next, we have the Philosophy of Logical Atomism, and Analysis of Mind, Analysis of Matter. So, his popular writings din meron din siya sa politics, morality, and sa religion works din. So, meron siyang A Free Man's Worship, Why Am I Not a Christian, Power, A Social Analyst. So, yun. So, pwedeng background lang na si Bertrand Russell is intellectually precocious. So, he became absorbed in mathematics from an early age and found the experience of learning Euclidean geometry at the age of 11. So, may statement siya doon, pero i-emphasize ko yung sinabi niya na as dazzling as first love. Kasi dahil dito, na-introduce siya doon sa intoxicating possibility of certain and this demonstrable knowledge. So, kasi ang iniisip na what if lahat ng knowledge is provided at may secure foundation? So, sige, magiging philosopher na lang ako. Parang ganyan yung naging niya. And dahil doon, pinursu niya yung pagiging philosopher. So, mathematician and philosopher. So, yun. So, ngayon, may present tayong isang paradox, which is barber paradox. So, ang barber paradox, meron siyang kwento. So, ang kwento niya is, there is a town with one barber. Sabi dito, whose task is to shave all and only those who do not. So, may barber and ang task niya lang is i-shave yung mga lahat at hindi shave. So, paano to naging paradox? Kasi may isang lumitaw na tanong. does the barber shave himself? Kasi part siya ng town eh, 'di ba? Kasi 'di ba sabi, there is a town with one barber whose task is to shave all ng nasa town. So kasama dapat siya doon. So ang tanong dito, does the barber shave himself? Kasi kung nagse-shave siya, he should not. And kung hindi naman siya nagse-shave, then he should, 'di ba? So yung barber's paradox ay mas kilala din sa Russell's paradox. So, bakit napunta kay Russell yon? So, titignan natin kung paano siya nagsimula. So, pupunta tayo ngayon sa foundations of mathematics. So, let's start with, in the 19th century, each branch of math was pretty disconnected from the other branches and there was no unifying trunk. So, mathematicians at that time wanted to unify the branches of mathematics and therefore, a foundational theory was needed. So, di ba kunwari, sa may science, magsisimula tayo sa biology. Top na yun, nasa branch na yun. Biology. Pwede natin isunod doon, chemistry, di ba? Sa ibaba niya. So, ano yung sa ibaba ng chemistry? Dahil meron tayong mga pwede natin lagyan siya ng physics. So, sa physics, makakaano tayo ng mga quarks, electrons, and gano'n. So, yung branch ng foundation ng biology is from that. And all of the sciences, di ba? So, yun. Kailangan natin para makita natin kung saan ba talaga nagsisimula ang lahat. And, yun. Math is different. That in all seems to be true by definition. And even though it's very good at describing our universe, it doesn't seem to be about our universe. So, tulad niya sa may science, ang inaano sa may science, di ba? Dinidescribe nito yung world natin. And yung science is about also our world. So, our universe. Di ba? Pero, how about naman dun sa math? Di ba? It could describe our selves, our world, our universe, but it seems that it doesn't for our universe. Parang may sarili silang buhay or something ganun. So, bakit? So, that is the question at the heart of this paradox. So, parang mas lumalim pa tayo. Balik tayo sa simula. So, at first, there is Plato. So, syempre, ang mga sasabihin nila is from a question. So, yung question na to is para masimulan yung foundation of mathematics. So, everything will start with the question of what is a number? So, dinescribe niya yung number, mathematical numbers, shapes, colors, ganyan, as an objects that existing independently from us and from our world. So, ang naano niya dito, mga objects sila na nag-exist independently from us nga. At tinatawag niya ito na objective truths. So, kung nag-exist sila independently from us, nasan sila? Meron siyang tinatawag na world of forms. So, nandun daw lahat. So, syempre, kilala naman natin si Plato as a philosopher and also a teacher. So, syempre, kung teacher ka, meron ka student. So, isa sa mga student niya is si Aristotle. Bagamat si Aristotle is student niya, syempre, lahat ng sinasabi, lahat ng information from Plato is na-absorb ni Aristotle. So, naturo ni Plato yung world of forms, objective truths nga, ganyan. Pero dito, nag-disagree si Aristotle. Ang sabi niya, there is no world of forms. Because numbers are not objects, but properties of an object. It describing the features of our world, so they belong to our world. So, ang nun, na nag-exist sila kasama natin. So, for example, merong 4 na pusa. May 4 na pusa. So, para ma-describe mo kung ilan yung pusa, ano mo yung number 4. So, 1 cat, 1 cat, 1 cat, 1 cat, diba? So, how many sila? So, there is 4. 4 cats. So, inaano niya na it's a property of an object. So, ginaganan. Tapos, okay. yan, later on, may sumibol na isang pang philosopher, which is si Kant. So, si Kant naman, nag-a-agree siya kay Aristotle, pero may binago siya. Meron siyang taliwas na ano. Sabi niya, to understand basic principle of math, I agree to Aristotle that describing, but we made it exist. So, hindi siya kasabay natin na nag-exist, kundi tayo nagpa-exist sa kanya. So, ang inaano niya dito is by intuition. So, if there is one, and we're gonna add one, there's two. Diba? Kaya, gonna have the answer 2, and it's common sense. So, nakukuha natin yung numbers by experience, by intuition, by feelings, sabi ni Kant. So, dun. And, dito lalabas ang ating main character now, which is si Frege. So, main character si Frege, di ba kwento to ni Bertrand Russell? Yes, hindi si Bertrand Russell ang ating main character, tulad nga sabi ni Morga. So, yun. So syempre, kailangan niyang patunayan na mas tama siya, di ba? So, binaklash niya yung ibang mga naunang philosopher. So, nag-agree na din siya kay Aristotle na mali talaga si Plato. So, sinabi niya, hey, Aristotle, if numbers are properties of an object, then one number should belong to any object, and it shouldn't be influenced by matter of opinion. So, okay. So, ang sinasabi dito, di ba sinabi ni Aristotle na if there are cats, which is this many, there are 4. So, it describing the number of cats. So, ganun. Ang sinasabi dito, pwede. But it shouldn't be influenced by matter of opinion. So, ang sinasabi naman ni Frege dito, how about sa cards? Okay, ganun. Cards. There is 52 cards. Or should we say, one deck of card. So, magkaiba na number. Merong 52, merong 1. Diba? Sa shoe, there is 2 shoes, or there a pair of shoe, which is 1. So, magkaiba na agad. Kaya nasabi niya mali din si Aristotle. So, ang sinabi naman niya kay Kant, hey Kant, I sought to make it plausible that arithmetic is a branch of logic and need to borrow any ground of proof whatever, from either experience or intuition. So, hindi siya naniniwala na, hindi siya pumapayag kay Kant na from intuition yung pinaka-foundation ng mathematics. Kasi, diba sinabi ni Kant na 1 plus 1 is 2. It's common sense. So, paano kapag tinasabi kong 7,563.1 times 265 39,000 to chuchu is equal to ganito, ganyan. So, hindi mo siya pwede makuha by common sense, di ba? Pero na lang kung human calculator ka. So hindi. Sa tablado na agad. Tapos, syempre, wala na siyang mabacklash pang iba. So, in-encourage niya yung sarili niya. I want to reduce mathematics to logic and show that logic is in fact the foundation of mathematics. So, yan. Diyan na mag-start yung story ni Gottlob Frege. So, first, kilalanin muna natin, who is Gottlob Frege? Gottlob Frege is a German mathematician and philosopher who founded modern mathematical logic, working on the borderline between the philosophy and mathematics. Kaya meron siyang hatak sa both fields, in the philosophy of mathematics and mathematical logic, in which no intellectual precedent existed. So, Frege discovered on his own the fundamental ideas that have made possible the whole modern development of logic, and thereby invented an entire discipline. So, background, sad din yung story ni so parang teaser lang pala. Sad din yung story ni Frege. So, malalaman natin kung bakit. So, may sinabi siya, to make logic a foundation of mathematics, I need to do some quest. A quest of reducing math to logic by coming up with a definition of what number was. So, i-define niya yung what is number by logic. So, ganun. Para masabi na the logic is the foundation of mathematics. So, first meron siyang binigay na terms, dalawang terms. Concepts and extensions. So, what is concept para sa kanya? A concept is a pretty much of an idea that you can think of. Like, gate, tiles, laptop, notebook, earphone, glasses, elephant, flying elephant, ganun, buffet king shark, ganun. And extension, so an extension is the set of all things that fall under that concept. So, dahil sa dalawang dalawang word na to is nakabuo siya ng meaning, which is numbers are extensions of the concept. So, paano yun? So, kunwari, ganito. The number 4 is the extension of the concept of all things that made up of a collection of things with these many objects. Parang ganun. Kunwari, ito. I have these three. I have these three objects. Yan. There is a earphone, notebook, and a cotton. So, number 3 is an extension of a concept that all things that made up of a collection of these many objects. Diba? So, 3. So, yun. Dun siya nag-come up. So, tinatawag niya tong general comprehension principle. So, bale, okay na, diba? Kasi, inano niya dito, yung mga different kind of set. Then, so, general comprehension principle yung tawag niya doon. So, may isa siyang na tinanong para lock, para magkaroon ng security yung kanyang foundation na ginawa para walang makabasag, ganyan, para mag-stand out to na ito na talaga yung pinaka-foundation, which is, can you think of an existing concept that doesn't have a corresponding set to go with? So, may ilang nagsabi na empty set, di ba? Siyempre, nag-exist yung may nag-exist na term na empty set. Pero ang sinabi dito, can you think of an existing concept? So, existing concept, dapat may laman. So hindi na pwede agad yung empty set. So, dito na, konting backstory. Si Frege was just to have his work printed when he received a letter from Bertrand Russell in June 1901, which read along the lines of, "Dear colleague, I find myself in complete agreement with you in all essentials. In regard in many particular questions, I find in your work discussion, distinctions, and definitions that one seek in vain in the works of other logisticians. There is just one point where I have encountered a difficulty. Considered the set of all sets that are not member of themselves. Is that set a member of itself?" Seem familiar? So, itong simple question na to shattered Frege's foundation and caused Frege mental breakdown na sa sobrang lala, nag-end up siya in hospital. So, kung naalala nyo kanina, about dun sa The Barber's Paradox, di ba? Yung, kung kasama ba yung barber sa isa-shave ng sarili niya. Ganun. So, is that a member of itself? Set. Ganun. So, nung nasa hospital si Frege, nag-reply siya through sulat din. Sabi niya, "My efforts to throw light on the question surrounding the word number seem to have ended in complete failure." So, sinisi niya na lang yung sarili niya. kesa sa ano. So, ang nangyari kasi doon, ang kasunod kasi nito is paiba-iba na sa iba't ibang context. Yung iba, sinabi, sinunog daw, tsaka tinapon ni Frege lahat ng ginawa niya for almost 20 years of works niya in philosophy and mathematics na tinapon niya na dahil nga sa mental breakdown na and yung iba naman parang yun na daw yung pinaka last conversation nila and wala nang nasundan and maraming iba't ibang context so pero sa isang context sila nagkatagpo lahat. Numerous attempts were made to correct this hiccup, like Russell's theory of types. Yes, Russell's theory of types. After tanongin ito ni Russell, yung tanong niya kanina, gumawa siya ng theory of types para sagutin yung sarili niyang tanong. So, yung theory of types is some kind of hierarchy, but many thought that yung theory of types ni Bertrand Russell was too artificial and ad hoc. So, pero syempre, dahil nga siya yung gumawa nung pinaka distractable na tanong, gumawa siya ng sulat para ipagtanggol si Frege. So, as I think about acts of integrity and grace, I realize that there is nothing in my knowledge to compare with Frege's dedication to truth. So, ganun, na binibigay niya lahat ng credits kay Frege, na parang nagtanong lang siya, so kay Frege na lahat, kay Frege talaga lahat yon. So backstory anyway, after a series of fortunate events, the foundations of mathematics is now known to be a system called Zermelo-Frankel set theory. So si Zermelo and Frankel is gumawa sila ng compilation ng mga ideas, mga ganyan, mga about set theories, at karamihan doon is mga original ideas ni Frege. Ganon. And dun na pasok lahat ng ni Frege. Lahat ng na-retrieve. So, yun yung kwento na And hanggang ngayon, wala pa ring makasagot ng paradox na ginawa ni Bertrand Russell. So, ganun. Pero alam naman pero sa kwentong ating nalaman, masasabi natin na may sumibol talaga na foundation of mathematics which is nagpo-fall under into logic. So, next we have the Alfred Whitehead. So, British mathematician and philosopher, a son of Anglican clergyman, Whitehead graduated from Cambridge noong 1884 and was elected from Fellow of Trinity College at the same year, and nakapangasawa siya which is si Evelyn Wade 6 years later, and nang pagka-graduate niya, and largely di tulad ni na Frege and Russell, masaya yung buhay ni Whitehead. Nagkaroon siya ng isang daughter and 2 sons. So, may mga life stages siya. 3 life stages, which is first sa Cambridge noong 1884 hanggang 1910. So, yung career ni Whitehead dun sa so, okay. The first corresponds roughly to this time at Cambridge from 1884 to 1910. It was during these years that he worked primarily on the issues of mathematics and logic. And it was also this time na nakipag-collaborate siya kay Bertrand Russell. So, malalaman natin kung paano sila nagkakilala ni Bertrand Russell. And the second main period ng buhay niya is nung 1910 to 1924, corresponding nun sa roughly at his time at London. So, during these years, Whitehead concentrated mainly on issues in physics and philosophies of science and the philosophy of education. And the third main period corresponds roughly to his time at Harvard naman. So, from 1924 and onwards. So, it was during this time that he worked primarily on issues in metaphysics. So dun muna tayo sa pangalawa, which is the period ng London niya. So, dun sa London, Kasi before siya pumunta dun sa London, sinabihan siya nung asawa niya na, okay, wait lang. So, before siya mapunta sa London, there was a little prospect dun sa Cambridge niyan, so professorship in mathematics for him at the expiration of his Trinity lectureship. So, malapit na siya matanggal. But there was a, somehow a passive income na dumating sa kanya through the regularly quarterly dividend paid to the fellows. Diba, kasama siya sa may fellows. And this was scarcely enough to support his family. Pero yung sinabi nung asawa niya, which is si Evelyn Whitehead, uh, encourage him to venture, to na lumipat sa ibang lugar para kahit wala silang idea kung anong naghihintay na kapalaran ni Whitehead doon. So, ang pinuntahan niya nga is London, even though he's not sure about doon. So, the first London year niya, Whitehead wrote the first of his books for a wide audience, which is an introduction in mathematics. So, still one of the best books of its kind. So, 1911, he was appointed to the staff of University College, London. And in 1914, he became the professor of applied mathematics at the Imperial College of Science and Technology. So, next, career niya sa United States, which is in Harvard, because in the early 1920s, Whitehead was clearly the most distinguished figure in the philosophy of science who was writing in English. When a friend of Harvard University, a historical scholar, Taylor, pledged the money for his salary. So, Harvard early in 1924 offered Whitehead a 5-year appointment as a professor of philosophy. And he was 63 years old that time. So, with the most 2 years to go in the Imperial College. So, the idea of teaching philosophy appealed to him. And his wife wholeheartedly concurred in the move. So, Harvard soon found out that it had hired more than a philosopher of science. It had acquired a metaphysician, and one comparable in stature to Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, and G.W.F. Frege. So punta tayo sa pinakauna niya, which is dun sa may Cambridge. Dahil sa Cambridge, di ba, professor siya dun, and isa sa mga estudyante niya is si Bertrand Russell. So, in addition dito na sinabi ni Russell na Whitehead influenced many other students who became equally or more famous than their teacher, examiner, or supervisor himself. So, nasabi niya to dahil sa sinulat niya nung that time na Whitehead was extraordinarily perfect as a teacher. He took a personal interest in those with whom he had to deal and knew both their strong and weak points. So, he would elicit from a pupil the best of which a pupil was capable. So, makikita natin dito na si Alfred North Whitehead is a perfect example of a teacher. Pero, sabi niya, I think that in all that abler young men with whom he came in contact, he inspired, as he did in me, a very real and lasting affection. So, sobrang mahanga talaga siya kay Alfred North Whitehead nung mga time na. But, the early 1900s, both Whitehead and Russell had completed books on the foundation of mathematics. So, Russell's 1903, The Principle of Mathematics, has expanded on several themes initially developed by Whitehead. So, ito yung kanina na meron tayo Principles of Mathematics and Principia Mathematica. So, yung Principles of Mathematics is book talaga siya ni Bertrand Russell. And nung sa gumawa siya ng volume 2 nito, sinama niya nakipag-collab siya kay Alfred, kay Whitehead. And mas madami yung na-contribute doon ni Whitehead, and nag-usap sila na palitan na lang yung pangalan, which is parang mas nagawa yun ni Whitehead. Pero hindi niya nilayo sa pangalan ng Principles of Mathematics, kundi nilapit niya, which is the Principia Mathematica. So, yung Principia Mathematica is, ano lang siya, parang book lang siya na, parang natural, book lang siya ng mathematics, pero makikita natin doon yung derivation ng bawat theories, ganyan, mga formulas, and is isa din sa mga nakasulat doon yung sa Russell's paradox nga din. So, hindi tinatantanan talaga ni Russell yung paradox niya na dapat ma-solve. Pero still, it's still unsolvable. So, kahit dun nakipag-collab siya kay Alfred North Whitehead, hindi pa rin nila ma-solve yung ano. And so that may dalawang goal na lang, nagkaroon sila ng dalawang goal dun sa Principia Mathematica. So, yung goal nila, hindi pa rin nalalayo dun sa pag-establish ng foundation of mathematics. Kasi dun sa may goal 1, the proof that all pure mathematics deals exclusively with concepts definable in terms of a very small number of fundamental concepts, and that all its propositions are deductible from a very small number of fundamental logical principles. And goal 2, which is the explanation of fundamental concepts which mathematics accepts as indefinable. So, inaano nila dito na it's either marireduce as the fundamental of mathematics is logic or not. Parang ganun yung ano. And that is all. Thank you.